But there's something to keep in mind going forward. There's all of this talk about who is going to be leading the Democratic Party going forward once President Obama leaves, talk about Chuck Schumer as the Senate Minority Leader and so on. I think Barack Obama is going to be leading the Democratic Party going forward. Remember that when he leaves office, that doesn't mean he's leaving Washington. He will be staying in Washington. And despite all of the graciousness that we will see today and all of the professionalism, I believe Barack Obama will be down the street from President Trump when he takes office, breathing down his neck. And every time the new president moves to reverse something President Obama has done, Obamacare, executive orders, make no mistake that President Obama will not, I don't expect him to obey the traditional etiquette of allowing your successor to go about his business. I think President Obama will be very vocal indeed.
It's a fascinating point that you bring up, and it makes me think, Doug, about the polls.
Yeah.
Because you think about the fact that this is a president who has a 51, 52, 53% approval rating. And now, you know, given how off all of the polls were, I question that number as well, frankly. And you wonder what President Obama, how he feels about his legacy, given what happened on Tuesday night.
Well, let me try to explain as a professional pollster the best I can. The 51, 52% that you cite is much more a sense of good feeling than it is of endorsement of policy, because as we've discussed before, and certainly Monica has articulated, there was widespread disagreement with the policies of the Obama administration, particularly Obamacare. I will say I disagree with Monica because I don't think that particularly in the beginning President Obama will lead the opposition. I think he will observe the etiquette. He should observe the etiquette, and I hope for the benefit of the country the good faith and good humor that we've seen in the last 2 days since the results were called continues. I think it explains the market upturn in part, but it also
market's
is
up 138 points right now. As we watch this, I thought they were hosing down the plane. I thought maybe there was something wrong, but there isn't. I think they were making it nice and shiny for its arrival in Washington. So that's exactly what you just saw happening there if you questioned that at home. I also think, Doug, and tell me if I'm wrong, that the 53% approval number for Barack Obama was in part a reflection of the nastiness of the campaign. That people were looking at these two and watching them sling mud at each other, and he looked, you know, he looked better in comparison. Was that an element of that number?
I think you're absolutely right. And again, to the issue you raised about how he will act going forward, if he gets into a fight with the president-elect or the new president once he's sworn in, it will reflect badly on him and his legacy. And I believe Donald Trump will move on to lead America in a new direction, not relitigate the past.
And here's the other thing, Monica, you know, with regard to the role that President Obama would play in the future. He has not been particularly thrilled about digging into politics on Capitol Hill throughout the course of his whole presidency. So, you know, that's a workhorse option that remains to be seen whether or not he wants to partake in.
President Obama, you're talking about. Yeah, no, he just didn't care that much because, frankly, he needed the Congress when he had supermajorities in his first 2 years to do what he wanted to do. The massive stimulus bill, Obamacare, getting these massive agenda items through that have proven to be extremely unpopular, which is why you saw on Tuesday night a wholesale rejection and repudiation of President Obama and his policies. You know, there's always this sort of afterglow when a president is getting close to leaving office, and that, I think, is what's reflected in these poll numbers prior to leaving. But that's separate and distinct from his policies. I think people have a good feeling about the first black president. I think they're very proud of that. But when it comes down to the brass tacks of what he actually did over the last 8 years, what we saw on Tuesday was a complete desire for a reversal of those policies, from Obamacare to the Iran deal to the out-of-control government spending. Donald Trump has promised to reverse those things. And now that he has control of the Congress in both houses, what you will see in his first 2 years, maybe his first 4 years, is a mirror image of what Obama did in his first 2 years, only in reverse.